So could you give us an example? Maybe can we take a specific such experience? You mentioned mountain, but maybe there's another example that you like talking about to really describe the peak. And you said we need to come home again, right? Start going down. So are we not home when we're in such a peak moment? And again, is there an example you could share?
Yeah. I like to take examples from the world that I'm very much immersed in now, and that's these peak states induced through altered states of consciousness. So when we're working with a specific modality, whether it be substances or not, to actually get us to a place where we're reaching, this altered state.
Yeah.
And I will give an example, let's say with breathwork, right? So people who are, this is becoming a very trendy, I think, experience now, especially for personal growth and healing and development. They're looking to breathwork to say, okay, well, you know, I've been told this might help me. I'm going through a difficult process. I'm navigating a lot of issues within my relationships, trying to figure out what my purpose really is. And so I've been told breathwork will help me maybe get some clarity or move into that space of understanding. And so someone will do a very highly induced breathwork journey with a facilitator, for example. And it's, you know, what happens through breathwork is you can really release a lot somatically in the body, but also there can be a lot of insights, a lot of, wow, I didn't realize this was happening to me, or some kind of an experience that becomes present. Okay, wow, I think I know what I need to do. And so that coming home, so to speak, obviously we're always home with ourselves, but it's more the process. Because if we just have that one peak moment, that experience becomes just an anecdote in our life if we don't actually do something with it.
True.
What happens? We just go home and then we move on with our life, but we just had this incredible release, this incredible knowing. And so what I do when I work with clients is I go through with them and uncover what actually happened and take advantage of that sort of window of opportunity where we're in a neuroplastic state. These altered states experiences induce this sort of concept of neuroplasticity, which is the idea that we're constantly creating these new neurons and connections in the brain. And after these altered state experiences, these peak experiences, we are much more likely to actually change our habits and our behaviors because of that window of that neuroplastic window that's been opened following the peak experience. And so someone who goes into breathwork and they come out of it saying, wow, I just realized I need to, you know, change some things about my life. Maybe it's about my relationships and how I relate with others. Maybe it's my lifestyle, my diet, the way I treat my body. Maybe it's some big decisions around the day-to-day work that person does. And that is, there's a few weeks following these peak moments where it's actually really important to take an active stance in making those changes because of that neuroplastic window. So that's just an example of what I mean by that altered state, peak state, and what happens and follows.
So it's basically to take action afterwards, right? Because just by itself, this peak wouldn't lead to a change. Is that what you're saying? Just a peak experience of an altered state wouldn't bring the change without something following from it. I mean, it's somehow logical, but
of course.
It's still, we need to be aware, because very quickly, I guess, we can go back into everyday life and keep living the routines we've created.
And we might forget. And, you know, of course, changes happen physically, and there's change that will happen without you just doing anything.
Just like that.
Yes, but the real work is to actually bring what happened to you into your life and remember it and work with it and see how it evolves over time.
Just to clarify, so what you meant with peak experiences are specifically in your work altered states of consciousness, and not necessarily what we said before, like climbing a mountain or so, or would that also be I mean, that could lead you to an altered state, I would imagine, right?
Altered states of consciousness can be very broad. I think when we immediately believe, you know, we think of that way, psychedelic states or with substances, but we reach these moments of awe and connection, and we learn that we're one small part of something bigger through many different ways.
I love that.
And one of them can be very much induced through a somatic journey, through topping the mountain, through being in a community, in a gathering space, a festival where you're just feeling very, very connected.
Or in a podcast.
Or on a podcast.
Yes.
This can be an altered state.